sure you guys all love the Patriots, this part of the country. Today I'm going to be talking about something that has really been on my mind over the last 6 months or so, embracing paid search automation. I've been in the industry for over a decade now, and when I first started, the idea of automation was really almost a no-no, but ever since then, with Google's updates, Google AdWords now becoming Google Ads, the rise of audience targeting and so forth, automation and machine learning is critical. So this presentation, it's not going to cover all aspects of automation. I won't be going over scripts. I won't be going over third-party platforms. But instead, I'm going to focus on the areas that I think you'll be able to implement right away and test, and hopefully produce some good results for you. So a little bit about me. I now use my baby in my presentations. Quick side story, when I first started presenting, I used my cat, then we got a dog, now it's the baby. So today what I want to go over is I'm going to cover 4 areas of automation that I think make sense to do right away and are fairly easy to both implement and see how they perform. So we're first going to get into why automation is critical. So I'm going to talk about why I found that automation is important these days and why my mind has been changed on that. Then I'm going to get into smart bidding and bidding strategies within Google Ads. And these are the bidding strategies where you give Google control to automate all your bids and make adjustments based on your performance goals. I'll then talk about various ad copy options, the new responsive search ads in Google Ads, also dynamic search ads and ad rotation, and how all of that is being automated these days. And then I'm going to end by talking about something that I really find near and dear, business data, which essentially is the option to dynamically populate your ads with business information you provide to Google. So this was me for the longest time regarding automation. I hated it. I thought it was the worst. Whenever Google reps would suggest that we do automation, I shut their ideas down right away. It didn't work. But probably within the last year, with Google moving to a new interface, or Google Ads moving to a new interface, the rise of audience targeting, the rise of smart bidding campaigns, my thoughts have changed. As account managers, we manage plenty of accounts, and there are so many features within these accounts that we have to manage, including bidding, including ad copy creation, including strategy and client communication. So my thoughts on automation really have, they've changed a bit. And I want to share this quote by Fred Valleys, who's the CEO of Optimizer and a former Googler himself. In a recent Search Engine Land article, he wrote, "These automations are exciting because they promise similar results with less work. But machines can't do everything PPC professionals can, and machines and humans are often at their best when they work together." So this quote really got me thinking in the sense that just because we want to talk about automation, it doesn't mean we have to automate everything. It's something where we can automate the tasks that are taking time away from our busy schedules that will allow us to focus on strategy more for our clients. We automate that, but we still have the human control, and together we work to provide great results for our clients. And what I'm going to be going over today, are ideas where you can turn automation on and let Google pull some of the levers, but still have your control over ultimately what we end up doing. So I'm going to begin first by talking about smart bidding and bidding strategies. And really, this is the most common automation you'll see in Google AdWords. In a minute, I'll go over all the various bidding strategies you can utilize. But generally speaking, bid automation is the #1 thing you hear about when it comes to automation in Google's machine learning. So what is smart bidding? Essentially, this is Google's definition for when they automate your bidding and use machine learning to set up these bids. So as an example, Google will use contextual signals based upon the back-end data they have. And I'll show you a slide in a minute that speaks to this. But an example might be if someone's searching on Google who Google doesn't deem relevant, they're not going to click your ad, they're not going to convert, then they may bid lower, versus someone, if they have their demographic information and know their browser history and so forth, Google might bid higher for that user. And we see it in Facebook already. Facebook is pretty much all smart bidding already, and Google is moving towards that. But Google also allows you to use performance controls, bid toward a target cost per acquisition, bidding toward a specific strategy like maximizing your conversions. And then finally, you have the performance reporting available. So none of this is done in a black box. You're able to see exactly what Google is doing and how the results are. And what I found interesting about this slide is how many people have received this email from Google Ads about turning on the target CPA strategy automatically? Okay, so a few of you. So they're kind of doing it a little under the radar, but they've sent these emails out saying that if you have enough data, they're going to turn on target CPA bidding. And when I say target CPA bidding, it stands for cost per acquisition, or cost per lead, cost per conversion. I'll use those interchangeably. But basically, the idea is that Google wants to move you to this automated bidding strategy, and they're being more forceful about it than they ever have. So when we do talk about those smart bidding signals, the four on the left you see here are ones you can control. So these are your time of day bid modifiers. If your customers are more likely to convert between 4 and 6 p.m., bidding higher during those days, or those times. Remarketing, location. Those are what we can control in Google. On the right is what we have the exclusive signals for Google Ads Smart Bidding. And these take into account the browser people are using, the apps. These are the things we don't see in the Google Ads interface that Google uses its machine learning to automate our bids for. When we talk about the types of bid strategies, Google currently has 7 that you can utilize. And on this slide right here, I'll talk about how each of these are utilized and what they're good for. So 3 of these I would consider more efficiency plays. We talked about target CPA bidding. What that does is you tell Google that you want to hit a target CPA. For example, say you have a client who they can't pay $100, they can't pay more than $100 per lead. You want to make sure that you're optimizing toward that goal. So target CPA bidding will work with your keywords and your bids to make sure you stay within that target CPA of $100. Target ROAS for e-commerce accounts. Say you need to hit a 300% ROAS. You can create bidding strategies that will tell Google to automate toward that specific ROAS. And finally, enhanced CPC, which this has been fairly recent, but enhanced CPC really is an option you can check. And again, this is something I'll talk about a little bit, but it's an option you can check within your campaigns to automatically have Google adjust bids, but you still control your manual bid. So for example, you can still tell Google, I want to bid $1, but if Google sees that a user is more likely to convert, they might increase the bid by 30% or so. All of these strategies are a little risky to a certain extent, but in general, that manual CPC bidding with enhanced CPC generally tends to perform well. We talk about volume, maximize clicks, and maximize conversions. These are more if you're just going for awareness or you want as much traffic as you can get. So these can sometimes work, but as we'll show in some of the data slides, they can come at a price. And then finally, more of the 2 placement strategies. You can target search page location, such as the top of page, or you can target an outranking share against the competitor. These can produce good results, but they're more if you want to work strategically against your clients, or against your competitors, I should say. Of course, I still included the dog photo. Before we talk about these bidding strategies, one key item to note is that you should be prepared to see drastic shifts in metrics. If you don't, great. But with any bidding strategy, it takes time for Google to learn. And also, you want to make sure you have enough data. So Google recommends in general for target CPA bidding that you have at least 30, I believe it's at least 30 conversions over the last 30 days or so. But in general, whenever you turn on a bidding strategy, the more data, the better. And then this is just that note of how I begin. I usually start with that option to help increase conversions with enhanced CPC. So I would say that that's kind of the default option I tend to go with when I start new campaigns. I won't start with a targeting bidding strategy just because I don't have enough data, but I will start with the manual CPC bidding with the ability to do the enhanced CPC bidding. So I want to go over a couple of these strategies, and I'm not going to go over all of the bidding strategies, but I want to do two in particular, one from that efficiency play and one from volume. I'm going to go over maximize conversions, and I'm also going to talk about target CPA. And I've taken data from the agency I work at. I've taken data from a bunch of accounts and pulled it all together to show what we've seen. And where that comes into play, so here's the first one, maximize conversions. I have all this data here. The slide share will be available afterwards, or the deck will be available afterwards, so I don't expect you to look at all this. But basically, what I did with this test is I did a before and after. So I looked at 30 days worth of data before I turned on a bid strategy, and then 30 days after. And with maximized conversions, we did see more conversions, and we did see a higher conversion rate, so it worked. But what we also saw was our cost per conversion increased dramatically. So again, if we had a goal of, say, $100, it was much higher than that. So even though volume increased, we saw that cost per lead increase that much more. We also saw higher costs in average CPCs. Google was bidding higher for keywords that, again, it thought would convert better based on the audience, and they're willing to bid higher. Unfortunately, there's no maximized conversions cap. So, for example, you might say, I only want to, at the most, I want to spend $7 per click. Unfortunately, you can't do that with Google. Bing Ads just released maximized conversions, which you can do that, but it's still not available in Google. Target CPA, another one of the more common ones. What I did with this graph was I broke it out before and after and showcased the number of, or roughly the direction of leads and the cost per lead. So what we see here is that 42% we saw roughly fewer leads and a higher CPL, which was against what we wanted to do. However, with all but the 8% combined with all these other pieces of the pie, we did see, we saw fewer leads, but we also saw the CPL that we were looking for. So in essence, this target CPA strategy worked about half of the time, where we did see a lower CPL, or a lower cost per acquisition, but in turn, it throttled our conversions. So that's something to keep in mind when using this target CPA bidding strategy. Sometimes it will work and you'll see lower cost per conversions, but in most of the cases where this happens, we do see fewer conversions coming in. So just a few takeaways from these sections. Make sure you have enough conversion data. Again, you want to make sure that Google has enough data to optimize from and to make these tests worthwhile. Maximize conversions will increase conversions, but be prepared to spend. With target CPA, it does work. It will show you lower cost per leads, but the conversions will decrease. So that's why it's important with target CPA to generally set a higher CPA goal. So maybe if your goal is $100, maybe set it at 110, 120 and adjust after time. And then finally, we didn't talk about drafts and experiments, but this is a feature in Google Ads where you can actually split your traffic, kind of like a landing page test where you can do 50% of traffic on a target CPA bidding strategy and 50% of traffic on your standard manual bidding. That's something that's worthwhile to try as well in this case. So the next area I'm going to get into with automation is ad copy. And typically you don't think of writing ads as automation. But again, this is something where over the last year or so, Google has made writing ad copy a little bit more of an automated task. And what I mean by that is Who here has started to use the responsive search ads where you can put up to 15 headlines and 3 description lines within one ad, and Google will optimize it itself? Okay. And more recently, too, they also created a standalone version where you can have up to 3 headlines and 2 description lines within your ad copy. So essentially, you're giving Google all these various headlines and descriptions, and Google is optimizing based on its data. The problem is that Google doesn't give you a lot of information. So the various headlines and descriptions are what Google details as your assets. And when you actually look at the reporting, all you can see is impressions. So you can view the various assets here, and you can also see all the various combinations. But you can only see impressions, which really doesn't give us much. We want to be able to see, what's the click-through rate like? What's the average cost per click for each? And more importantly, how many conversions are we seeing from each combination and what the conversion rate is? So responsive search ads in general are a great idea in theory, and it's actually welcome. I mean, as advertisers, we typically do our A/B tests. We'll upload a few different ads at a time, maybe testing different headlines, different descriptions. But this does it all for you. Unfortunately, the data isn't yet there. And the data I'm presenting here for responsive ads versus non-responsive search ads isn't, this is more the aggregate. So you can see the aggregate data of how all the combinations performed, but you can't see the specific combinations. So what I found with responsive search ads is they do see lower cost per conversions. So in the back end, Google's doing something right to make sure that you are seeing lower cost per leads come in. And the CTR is higher, which makes sense because CTR is one of the main items that Google likes to focus on. So that was higher. Subsequently, though, our conversion rate dropped. So that was a concern, but we did see cost per click drop as well. So most of these metrics are pointing in the right direction, with conversion rate more the outlier. So what I found with these is I'm testing them throughout all accounts. I'm testing the new 3 headline, 2 description text ads. But it's something I like to I'm going to keep going and see how the data continues to progress, because I think if Google can get this right and give us more data, we'll be able to automate more of this ad copy writing. The other area here is responsive display ads. So going back to Damon's presentation earlier, he talked about display ads for businesses and getting that brand awareness out there. Google now allows you to provide, again, these assets of headlines and images, and it will automatically create your ad and show it. It's not the prettiest, as you can see here. I'll always recommend advertisers create their own display ads through graphic designers. But if you don't have that ability, these responsive display ads are definitely worthwhile to test on the display network. Then the other area I want to get into here is dynamic search ads. So dynamic search ads are essentially you're giving Google your URL, and based upon categories and what Google calls auto targets, are allowing Google to create ads based on keyword searches that you're not yet bidding on. And what that looks like is this first image, you have your ad template, and the second image is what it would be like. So if someone was searching for apartments in Oklahoma City, we have a headline of luxury apartments in Oklahoma City, and we have a description that's standard for each. You can see here Google provides what it thinks your categories are, and it uses some of its organic technology here to showcase the categories. What's good about DSAs is you can exclude pages. So say, for example, you don't want people going to pages on your site where blog is in the URL. You can exclude that. You can also exclude you can put negative keywords in there from showing. And also, sometimes what I'll do is put negatives from other campaigns in here just to make sure that we don't show that. But dynamic search ads are so important, especially if you're looking for growth with clients that have remained static. DSAs help you capture new traffic by showing ads for keywords that you wouldn't necessarily think you would bid on or people would search for. It helps you find these new keyword themes. Aside from helping to create new ad groups from these keyword themes, maybe it gives the client ideas for new content. Again, you can put negatives in, and more importantly, too, you can research new negatives. With DSA campaigns, you have to be really critical. Again, machines and humans working together. Dynamic search ads will bring a lot of queries in, and you exclude the ones that don't work. And then again, it just shows proactiveness. This is one of the items with a lot of our clients where if we're running fairly stagnant on campaign builds and keywords, we'll use dynamic search ads to try and grow the campaign. So optimized ad rotation is another new feature that it's been around for a while, but Google has made it one of the two options you can have. So in this settings section, you can choose to optimize your ads, or you can choose to manually run them 50-50. And what that looks like in this pie chart here is if you set to optimize, you might see a traffic breakdown where 80% of your ads are seen and only ad A is seen 80% time, ad B 5% of the time, and so forth. Now, with optimized ad rotation, that was something I was always very hesitant about. If I'm going to take the time to write my ads and test different theories, I don't want Google doing the optimizations. I want to test them 50-50 and see what happens. But again, with the theme of automation and not being left behind, I decided to give it a shot. So what I found in these various campaigns is that turning on optimized ad rotation meant a significant increase in clicks and impressions, much more traffic. Cost was higher as well. Naturally, Google was showing ads that it thought would get clicked more, so we saw higher costs. But I mean, we also saw lower cost per conversion and more conversions. So even with that increase in traffic and even that many more clicks, that many more conversions were coming in as well. So all in all, optimized ad rotation, even though I still have reservations about it, it does work pretty well. And then the final item I'm going to talk about with ad copy isn't so much in automation right away, but ad suggestions is something where in your settings, Google now automatically for new campaigns gives you it automatically checks this first option of automatically utilizing ad suggestions. You have to manually turn it off in your campaigns to not use it. So that's something to keep in mind when you start new campaigns. And then just the takeaways here, responsive search ads have pros and cons. Dynamic search ads can be volatile, but they do end up helping in the long run for account growth. And then the final section I want to cover today is business data. And for those who have read some of my articles, I'm a big fan of business data. In other words, putting putting dynamic data within a business feed, uploading that to Google so your ads can be dynamic. So what that looks like is, for example, I work with a client who sells higher end luxury apartments, and we don't want people coming in who aren't looking to pay $2,500 per month. So we use negative keywords. We use positive keywords such as luxury apartments, but that's not going to sway everyone from clicking those ads. So with this business data feed, we put the prices in and dynamically showcase that price within the feed, within the ad. So that way, someone, if they're going to click it, they know right away that the starting price is about $2,500. So we may lose clicks that way, but in the long run, we're saving money because we're getting rid of those irrelevant clicks. And same thing here. This is for an e-commerce client. At various times, they have a different number of varieties available. So we showcase the breadth of what we have, the number of varieties we have. So instead of, if 39 varieties are available one day and 40 the next, instead of updating 100 different ads, we go to our business data, update it once, and it updates it for all the ads. And here's what that business data feed looks like. It's fairly easy to set up. It's just an Excel sheet with various columns that you're going to reference within your ads. And this is just a case study we did with that luxury apartment community, where we found that cost per lead actually went down significantly when we utilized these ad customizers. And overall, we got better quality leads coming in. So they do work well. And quite frankly, too, they make your ads more exciting and help you stand out from the competition. With all the ad copy and with how the paid and organic listings work in the overall search page, anything you can do to stand out is important. And then just the takeaways from this section. So again, ad customizers make your ads that much more appealing, and they can better pre-qualify your users. I would suggest setting them up. They can be as basic or as advanced as you want them to be. And they're really easy to set up. There's a Google Help section that you can download the template directly and just input your information. You can also automate these feed uploads similar to what you can do with a shopping campaign. And then, from the data I've seen, cost per lead decreased while that conversion rate increased. So it did well overall, and it was something that we're trying to bring to more of our accounts. That's it.